Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Today, we're blessed to have a guest student minister, Brother Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. He's formerly known as Brother Anthony Muhammad. He serves as a student minister of Muhammad Mosque number 55. I think I've heard it referred to as a double nickel in the city of Memphis, Tennessee.
And so we in the Nation of Islam, we believe that God called us to work for our people. We see ourselves as servants. And sometimes we can lose sight of that we are not to be ministered unto, but we are called to minister to. So we see ourselves as servants, called by God to help his chief servant, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So with that in mind, what we do is based on that. That becomes a problem for a lot of people, because we live in a world where if you clean up, if you get a title, if you get a what they call a reputation, those people want people to serve them.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brother, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be a guest on the show.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother Willie. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Sir. Praise be to him. I'd like to get straight to it. So my first question, I would like to begin with you sharing with us the day that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave you your holy name. If you can include, what it means and how you felt, then and now, that would be great as well.
Well, he gave me the name. First, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan gave me the name 2 years ago in the month of Ramadan, 2020, around day 10 or 12, the name Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. And Muthakir means one who calls to the way of Allah, one who reminds of Allah, and one who reminds of the reminder. He gave me the name. He had been telling me for some time that he was going to give a name. And he said, "You've been Anthony long enough." He actually told some of the believers here that he was going to do it. I didn't know it was going to come at that time. Actually, on day one, when he spoke, he gave the name Abdul Shahid Muhammad to the brother who does the mueddin, or the call of prayer, Brother Andre. And he gave him the name and had Brother Akbar call Brother Andre and give him the name Abdul Shahid Muhammad. And then maybe 10 days later, he gave me the name. And brother, I was ecstatic to get the name, nervous, didn't know what to say, because we also found on that day that Brother Akbar, our beloved brother, was going to have some surgery. So I didn't want to make over that he gave me a name on the day that that Brother Akbar was going to have surgery. I thought that should be the point that everyone deals with, is praying for Brother Akbar. So I learned later that it sounded like I didn't say much about my name and anything, but it was because Brother Akbar was about to go to surgery. But nonetheless, brother, it took me a minute to learn how to say it. And he told me, "Brother, what is your name?" And I said, "Abdul Muthakir Muhammad, sir." And he told me it's pronounced Muthakir, and the accent is on the second syllable. And I went away laughing, thinking I sound like my daughter when she was 6, trying to say Muhammad. She would say Zari Ahmed. You know, and I laugh like children learning how to pronounce our own name.
Mm.
But we thank Allah that he blessed us with a name.
Praise be to Allah. And you know, I get a joy out of hearing the journey of Islam stories by the believers. Can you share with us how you came to learn about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how you arrived at the decision to become a registered minister, a registered member?
Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C. Islam was strong on the East Coast. It was strong in Washington, D.C. And as a youngster at our high school, the brothers would bring Muhammad Speaks newspaper and stand outside the high school and sell the papers. And you know how, young, smart whippersnappers we are when we are young. We would say things to the brothers like, brother, the truth is free, isn't it? So why are you charging me for this paper when you said you're giving me the truth? Truth is free. The brothers would laugh, try to say something, and sometimes they would give us the paper. Now, the thing that attracted us in the newspaper was the cartoons and the different slogans that they had. And I got involved in what we call nationalists, the nationalist movement. And when I was around 16 years old. In high school, I became a nationalist because I met this brother Ray Bell, who was a Vietnam veteran. He comes home. We would go to his house, and Brother Willie, I'm going to tell you the truth, we would go to his house and we would buy weed at the house. And we would go in his house. Now he playing the last poets. He's playing this stuff that we never heard before as young people. And then we would sit there and talk to him. And back then they called it getting deep. He would start teaching. He took me and my partners to my first temple meeting, took me to where they had the bakery and you get the carrot cake and the carrot pie and all of this. And he started us on this journey. Myself and my brother William and others started us on that journey in high school in the nationalist community. And we would go hear Minister Farrakhan at the college campuses on Howard University in DC. He was always at Howard University. And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. Everything fell apart. And one day, I looked up and Minister Farrakhan was speaking again. And I went to hear him. This is after everything kind of fell apart and all of that, things changed. I went to hear him. And then I went to a mosque meeting. And I heard Dr. Alim. And in that meeting, I wanted to buy a cassette tape. And the brother gave me or paid for a cassette tape for me, Savior's Day 1981. And when I heard Savior's Day 1981, it was Minister Farrakhan who made everything that we had just gone through, made it make sense to me. And I knew then that I wanted to join the Nation of Islam. And I started going to the study groups. In those days, we had study groups and we would go. And it's when I understood Allah coming in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. That was it for me. Sign me up. And I joined the Nation of Islam in 1983.
To Allah, beautiful. And you mentioned brother Abdul Muhammad, and I know, like you said, you came up there in the mosque there, and also with brother Abdul Sharif, I'd imagine he was there as well. Some of our nation's greatest helpers have come from that mosque. Can you share with us how your experiences there and the leadership of brother Alim helped to prepare you?
Brother Alim was different in the way that he taught. He taught like a college professor. It was spirited, but he also taught with facts. That's the way that he brought the teaching. Now, he would teach half the night, but it was like a professor. Now, he was very protective of college students. I wasn't in the college students. I wasn't in college because as the nationalists, we weren't going to the white man's school, that whole thing. But he was very protective of them, of the college students, and his scholarly approach. Not only that, Brother Lean will let you do something in the mosque. So today we're talking about ministries. When we would go to the laborers meeting, Brother Willie, everybody could come to the laborers meeting. And in the laborers meeting, whatever the problem was, if I had something that I could offer, then he would say, brother, you go and do that and bring that back. And he had a sister, Sister Ruth, who the beauty of Sister Ruth was, if I said that when I come to the meeting next Sunday, I'm going to have 2 bean pies. Her job was to make sure that whatever I said I was going to do, that's what I did. And that's how we became successful. Everybody could come and participate, not just the 4 laborers, but everybody. And because of that platform, it allowed me to grow and develop, because I could find something that I could do, whatever it was that we needed. And it was a very beautiful way. But the thing that also the structure with Brother Sharif, because we had a couple of captains before Sharif, but when Brother Sharif became the captain, he kind of steadied the ship, because now it's almost like a left and a right hand. And the way that Brother Aleem could teach, buttressed with or coupled with the way that Brother Sharif could train, he produced this thing that just took off. I mean, it literally took off, because Brother Sharif knew how to reach a brother like me and train someone like me. And Brother Aleem knew how to reach a brother like me from the spiritual side. So it became this left and right hand that was just magnificent, brother. It was magnificent.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know from there you were dispatched to another one of the nation's historic mosques, Muhammad Mosque number 12 in Philadelphia. You know, what were some of your valuable lessons that you learned while serving in that city?
Philly is very dear to me now. First thing I learned from being in Philadelphia, brothers, is not to be so judgmental. I come from Washington, D.C. We have a certain culture and way that we do things in Washington, D.C. Philadelphia is a blue-collar town. They roll up their sleeves, they deal with things. And when I got to Philadelphia, I went under some, they had some issues there. So when I come to Philadelphia, I actually came with a mind of prejudging the people that I came to teach. And that one of the things that we have to learn as ministers, those who are listening, you never know where God will have you. You could have never told me I would be in Memphis or Philadelphia. When I got to Philadelphia, one of the first things I learned was to not be so judgmental of the people that I ran into, because they are beautiful Muslims in Philadelphia. I also had to learn, Brother Willie, how to find my own voice, because I'm coming from DC under a strong minister, Brother Abdul Muthakir. So when I'm on the roster, I'm sounding and talking like him, but I'm not him. I'm Muthakir. I had to learn how to find my own voice. See, I had to learn how to be who I am and express Islam in the way that God gave it to me. Those are some of the great lessons that I learned. I also learned going to Philadelphia because I became angry with the brothers in DC. I tell you this story, Brother Willie, that when I got assigned to Philly, I always felt I need to get some help. And some of the brothers that I knew in DC, I wanted them to come and help me in Philadelphia. And they would promise me on FOI class on Monday that they were going to help me. But when it was time to go to Philly on Friday and Saturday, couldn't find them. One brother, Brother Alfred, he's now in Richmond. He said, I'll help you. And Brother Alfred took me to the train station and dropped me off at the train station. And Brother Willie, you know, I got on that train. I had some very choice words for my brother. But on the train to Philadelphia, I remembered the lessons. It says my name is W.F. Muhammad. And I came to North America by myself. And as I was thinking over that, I was thinking of myself. I'm going to Philadelphia by myself because the help that I needed was not in DC and not in DC. The help that I needed was in Philadelphia. And I never looked back from that. And sometimes, when we go to these cities, we want the city that we came from to help us. Well, everything that you need to be successful is in the city that you're going to. So you go to that city with the thought in mind of looking for who could be your captain or your secretary, those things. And that was a valuable lesson for me to learn, to look for my help where I was coming from. So I learned that lesson. I learned better how to prepare your talks, how to uplift the believer and don't just fight and beat up on people, like we are perfect. And we are not perfect. And neither are the believers that we are called to serve. Are they perfect? Are we going to make mistakes? Of course. Are they going to make mistakes? Of course. The beauty of Philadelphia is that they tell you straight up, Brother Willie, I don't like you, Willie. They will tell you straight up in front of the minister that they don't like you. But then if you could say to them, well, brother, what are we going to do to help the program? And they'll roll their sleeves up and help you with that. But that's the kind of believer that's there. DC wasn't that kind of place, nor is Memphis that kind of place. So I had to learn, and I'm saying that to say I had to learn the culture of the people that I was going to, that I could help them based on their culture, but not bring my culture to them, which is a different culture.
Wow, beautiful, man. And I really thank you for sharing that, because I know just that what you shared for student ministers who hear this, you shared a lot, and that can really help us in our labor as we try to improve ourselves as well. Now, after laboring there in Philadelphia, you were notified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that a change in leadership would take place, which would result in you going to Chicago. Can you share with us the experience you had reading the letter that notified you of the change and your state of mind while reading the letter as well?
Well, brother, that was a very trying moment for me. I mean, imagine, Brother Willie, you get a letter. My secretary brings me the letter from the minister. And he starts, Assalamu alaikum, I'm removing you as the minister of Philadelphia. Now, everything after that, I don't even know what that was. It was my wife who helped me to see what the minister was actually saying. I'm removing you as the minister of Philadelphia. He was placing there student minister Rodney. So I called the minister, and he was checking my spirit. I was still enthusiastic, and he said something, and I said, Brother Minister, I just want to be with you. He said, now that's the spirit, son. That's the spirit. And so now, see, knowing the right thing to say and walking the thing is two different things. And many of us have said things like, well, if I get busted, I'll just fall back in. I'll get busted. And Brother Willie, we have seen people who get removed from their position, from lieutenant to captain, secretary to minister. And as time goes on, you don't see them anymore because something comes up inside of us that we don't know is there. And same with me. That thing came up inside of me. I didn't know it was there. I've always felt that I'm going to stay with the minister. But I started feeling something. And when I came to the mosque and Bradley was preaching, he didn't say anything wrong or do anything to me, but it was things that I was feeling. And then some of the believers, I'm telling you, brother, they'll kick you when you're down now. They'll throw a little dirt on you, a little salt on you. So the minister brought me, just for before I went to stay, he brought me to Chicago for a day. I stayed the weekend, but I only saw him for about an hour. And I'm crying, Brother Willie, and I'm saying to him, Brother Minister, I don't want to be one of those that if I can't be in charge or being the minister, I can't be with you. And he could see me wrestling with this. And he said, oh, brother, the minister is a beautiful man. He don't get excited about, like he done seen all this before. I'm snotting and crying. And he said, oh, brother, you didn't come here with no minister tag on your toe. I said, Minister, I'm crying, He said, brother, you came to help. And he said a few more words. He kind of straightened up my thinking, because it kind of walked right now. And he sent me back. And then he sent for me. I just got married or recently got married. And I couldn't see myself going to Chicago. In Philadelphia, I got a wife and children. My wife said, brother, if you don't get your so-and-so and get up, that's how my wife, brother, told me to go.
Mm.
And as I left January of 92 to be with the minister.
Mm.
And the thing about that, I go and I have dinner with him, and he tells me, you report every morning to the Supreme Captain's office. Now, you got to remember, Brother Willie, I'm tore up now. I just got removed from my post. I need some fixing, you know. And I give myself really a D, not an F. I think I passed, but you know, in school sometimes you can pass with a D.
D.
I passed, but I ain't do too good, you know. But in Chicago, my blessing was Brother Sharif now was the Supreme Captain. So usually when you're wounded, you want to go home. So the first thing I was going to do in Philadelphia is pack up and go to DC. I want to go home. Well, when I get to Chicago, Sharif is the Supreme Captain. And Brother Ernest is there. So these are familiar faces for me. So I'm honored that I could go work with him. What I didn't know was what I didn't know. And Chicago is, brother, that's a meat grinder.
Mm.
And I didn't know all of the things that I learned there. But my blessing was also that he called me to Chicago, because usually when you dismiss, you're still in the city where you had the struggles. But him taking me out of Philadelphia allowed me to kind of clear my head, allowed me to kind of see things and put them in perspective. You know, he wasn't throwing me away, but the minister, we serve at his pleasure. And he's making other types of moves, you know, things that he can see. And so I think a lot of he took me out of Philly and brought me to Chicago. And then he sent me to Memphis.
Praise be to Allah. Man, I'm loving this, my brother. And to get this other question in before our break. Now, while there, in Chicago, I was informed that while you were there in Chicago, I was informed that you would have dinner. You'll be a dinner guest of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on a regular basis. And we know that the minister does a lot of teaching and training while at the dinner table. What did you learn during those dinners? And when you reflect back on them, what impact do you see them having on your ministry?
I would be there almost every day, not every day. There were days that he didn't have, you know, some days it would be 2 people, 3 people. And then, you know, Sundays they have the big dinners. And I was invited. A lot of times he did teach. And some of it was intimate things. And some of it wasn't. But the minister, just a beautiful person. I mean, well, you know what I'm saying, Brother Willie. You are amazed that every time you see him, he's focused on our people and all of that. He whooped me a couple of times, whooped others a couple of times. And I asked him one time, Brother Minister, am I learning what you want me to learn? And he said, brother, you won't know until you leave. So I went and bought a little notebook and like a little thing I could write down what he said to me. And the brothers would joke with me because the notebook was pink. It wasn't pink, it was had little flowers on it. It's only because when I got in the store, that was the only one they had. And I didn't care about that. I needed the notebook, you know. The brothers would read me, you know, kind of joke with me because of the book that I had, and I'm trying to write it down. But when he said to me I wouldn't know until I left, I kind of stopped writing. And I do know that many times in situations will come up and I'll say, the minister told me this, or the minister said this to me, and it will help guide me through those moments. So yes, I ate dinner with him. And I learned being in the Supreme Captain's office because people had an issue with that. Why are you as a minister reporting to the Supreme Captain's office? That's where the minister told me to go. And when I came, there's a brother. I came to Mount Mariam that Monday. Brother said, who are you, brother? And I said, I never go call myself a minister or nothing, brother. I said, I'm Brother Anthony Muhammad. Brother said, stand over there. I didn't say nothing. For the next couple of days, that's how he treated me. Now that Wednesday, the minister came out and introduced me. And asked him, would you all like to hear him speak? And he said, I'm gonna have him come next Wednesday and speak. Now, this is on Wednesday. So now when I come to the mosque on Thursday, same brother that kept saying, stand over there. Now he's saluting everything and all of that. You know, we should treat everybody the same. But I just saw those little things and I just wanted to make sure I didn't do those things when I got back out in the field.
Wow. So it's looking like we have a few more minutes. We'll get this last question in, and then we'll go to break after this question. You know, I was told that you were present with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan during the fundraising efforts to repurchase our National Center and more. What are your memories about that time? And we have a clip they're going to be showing while you're talking about it too.
Brother Willie, was raining money in Moscow. No, it was in Farrakhan building. I was the minister at that time of Philadelphia. And I think I brought some $11,000 or $12,000. I was sitting up on the front row. But man, they was dropping checks and everything in there, brother. It was a beautiful time. I had never seen anything like that. And the minister was actually doing the fundraising. And the believers was giving it because we were going back home. We were on our way back home. And it was one of the most beautiful times. And when I stood up to give from Philadelphia, I was so nervous, brother. So nervous. And I told them how much we had. And I didn't know, you know how we do now. You put it in a cashier's check and you bring the check. I just brought all the money, the change, everything. I brought all of it to Chicago. I gave the minister the whole thing. I think it was like $11,000 or $12,000. I gave him all the money because I didn't know at that time that we should bring a check or something. But it was a beautiful time. Beautiful time. Praise is due to Allah.
Beautiful one, brother. And we had some technical difficulties with the clip, but Brother Dimitri helped me find it and got you up there giving them the money. So it was a beautiful. So we're going to go to our break, brothers and sisters, and hear some brief words from our sponsors. But if you're like me, I know you're enjoying this interview, and we'll be back with our brother right after the break.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters. So here's my next question. When you reflect on your walk with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, are there any interactions of his that you have personally experienced or witnessed that show in a very profound way his love, character, humility, or any quality that he possesses that comes to mind?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The first thought is, I would say to all that's listening, the one thing that the minister loves to see is us expressing the beauty of God in ourselves. He's not envious of any of us. And he does not want us to let that opportunity go to the side. One day in the Salon restaurant, he said to me, I said to him, Brother Minister, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Minister. He said, there's my great preacher. I said, no, sir, Brother Minister, you're the great preacher. He said, stop right there. He wouldn't let me say that. He said, God has deposited himself in each and every one of us. And another time he was whooping me. Well, he was whooping me at the table. We were in, I think, St. Louis. And I mean, it was a bunch of folk there. And I'm trying to eat and he's whooping on me. And he came to the point where he said, brother, you are a great minister. I want you to let your light shine. Now, you know, when he said you are a great minister, a great preacher, you know, me, Brother Willie, like you, like, minister, you really think that I can do this? And I want you to let your light shine. He's always trying to show us the beauty of God in ourselves. And he wants us to express that. And not just to see the God in him, but in each and every one of us. And he works hard to get us to see that. And it's honored when he see us expressing that. So those are the things that I would say I would talk about.
Very excellent responses. So we know that some years ago you underwent a serious medical procedure, and I know many around the nation, we offer prayers for you and your recovery. So during that time, did you receive any guidance or support from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that helped you through that and afterwards?
Well, yes, sir. I suffered a heart attack. And it was called a widowmaker. It was during or right after Ramadan. And I'm in the hospital. He called me. And I said, "Assalamu Brother Minister." And he's, brother, I don't want you to talk. He real, the matter of fact, I don't want you to talk. I want you to listen. So when you know, that's my father now. He said like that, yes, sir. And he said, brother, you do what them doctors tell you to do. That's his exact words to me. And after that, he said a few things, other things, but I was so stuck on what he said. You do what the doctors tell you to do, because you have to be in where it's optimum condition for what your mission requires of you to do, in some words of that effect. But yes, and then I go home, and I'm home, and he called me one day. He's talking, and he's going to send me something. And I'm a little embarrassed because, no, sir, the minister, I'm supposed to send things to you. He says, again, stop right there. Brother, you are my servant. Yes, sir, brother minister. So I'm going to send you something. And he sent something in the mail for myself and my family. He did that. Only, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, Minister Farrakhan is a beautiful man, inside and out, and not just on air. I mean, like in camera and all. A beautiful human being that wants to see the best in all of us,
Beautiful, man. And I was told this, that, you know, one of your favorite movies is The Officer and the Gentleman, you know. So what are some of the major takeaways of that movie? And in your years of watching and studying it, do you see any connections between that movie and just being a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Brother Willie, I took that movie and we were training lieutenants, had a lieutenant's training, officers training, and I asked them to watch the movie. It's a fascinating movie in that, first of all, the way they started the movie, the character that Lou Gossett plays, it wasn't supposed to get all of the pub that it got. But Lou Gossett is such a great actor. He literally took the steam from it and I think he won an Academy Award for supporting actor. Richard Gere was supposed to be the star, who was the actual officer. The gentleman is Lou Gossett, because Lou Gossett is not an officer. He's a sergeant. Matter of fact, Lou Gossett is a sergeant in the Marines who's training officers for the Navy. He's training lieutenants for the Navy, and he's a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And people think it's just about, he's hard, but he's looking for character, certain character traits in the individual. Because if you're going to be an officer, you have to care for people, your squad, and all of those things. And if I see that you are selfish and all of that, you won't make a good officer. So he's looking for those things like we train people. As he begins to train the man is selfish. Richard Gere character is a selfish individual. But the background of that is he grew up in a hard situation. He grew up in a woman's brothel with his father who was a womanizer. So he had to, and in a foreign country that he was in a foreign country. And he had to learn to protect himself because he got beat up as a little boy. And as he goes through, the only thing he knows is to protect himself. But the more he goes through the training, he meets an individual who's smarter than him, better than him in a lot of ways. And that individual doesn't make it. He kills himself, that kind of thing. And the Richard Gere character now wants to defend his friend. And he goes to war to defend his friend. But when he goes to defend his friend, Lou Gossett sees the character of an officer now in the man. And the very man that he was trying to get rid of, now he's fighting that man again to keep that man. And at the end of the movie, when it's time for them to graduate, they go to Lou Gossett, and Lou Gossett, who's a sergeant, now has to salute the lieutenant on their way up. Same with us. We come to the mosque and we see all kind of people. They may be selfish and they may be whatever they are, but it's based on how they were brought up. They come up in the home. We don't see the backstory of everybody, but we grew up in dysfunctional homes. We come to the mosque and we're trying to develop. And sometimes we may not see value in that person. But as they grow, all of a sudden you see this beautiful thing. And then you can salute them on their way up. What's wrong with that? All of us belong to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Nobody belonged to me or Brother Willie. They don't belong to us. We belong to the minister. When I was in DC, I met the minister because Brother Lee introduced me to him. He said, Brother Minister, this is Anthony, and he is this. And this is Jamil, and Jamil does this. This is William, and William does this. This is Willie, and Willie does this. He would bring everybody to the minister. And then the minister could look and see, well, I can take that one and put him over there. I can take and do this with him, and that one and do that. That's our job, to raise them up and salute them as they go up, because they don't belong to us. And so I wanted the officers to see the people that you interact with. You may be the officer over them now, but you don't know what the future holds for them. So you train them, teach them, you develop their character or help them to develop their character, and then salute them as they go to do this work of helping the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Man, loving your responses, my brother. I feel your sincerity, and I also feel your transparency, and that really helps with the testimony. I love it. I know we have about 6 more minutes before we go into our next break. And I know you covered this on Brother Joshua's interview with him, which I enjoyed. I'll just ask as well about how you ended up coming to the city of Memphis.
Well, when the minister said, he had told us, he said that there was some controversy in Philadelphia. He brought me to Chicago. He was going to, send us out. It was myself and another brother. He sent to the West Coast. And one day he said, brother, I'm sending you to Memphis. And at that time I was feeling antsy and I was ready to get back on the saddle. You know what I mean? I've been in Chicago a long time and I'm feeling like it's time to go. He sent me to Memphis. And the weird thing is when I got to Memphis, the same people that I saw in Philadelphia, I saw in Memphis. They just had different names, same characteristics and all of that, those same people. And I would call my wife and say, I met so-and-so and I met so-and-so in this one, because the characteristics were the same. So he sends me to Memphis. And because of my experiences in Philadelphia, I was able to, navigate a little better when I got to Memphis. Memphis is a different type of culture than Philadelphia. Memphis is a different type of culture than Washington, D.C. Memphis is a different type of culture than Chicago. So now, like a blind man, I have to learn the culture of Memphis. And some of my ways were offensive to many in Memphis because they were used to doing things a certain way. Now you come and you structure that thing. So it was a rough ride for a minute, but Allah blessed us, Brother Willie. This September, I think I would have been here 30 years. This September coming up. I came in September of 92 to Memphis. And Allah has blessed us to do a work that I'm not going to say I'm proud of, but we thank Allah for what He had blessed us to do here in Memphis.
And we have some more minutes. I'm gonna squeeze this in too. I didn't think about this until you mentioned, but you were also in Mosque number 4 with Brother Jamil, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you talk
Jamil
about that?
was the one who got us up and go. We were in the student ministry. Jamil had already been out in the field. He had been in Philadelphia, and he came back from Philly to DC. So now we're in the student ministry. Jamil comes in, and I mean, when he came and preached, but I'm like, who in the world is this? I mean, you know how Jamil is. I mean, he lay in that thing. But he would show us now. He more my age. Brother Liam is older, you see. But Jamil is my age. We listen to the same music. So now he's showing me, this is how you do that. We were all afraid to leave DC. But Doc was the type of brother, if you're a student, okay, you go over here. He didn't play around, man. You go here, you go here. But we was all scared to go. And Jamil was the one who made us to see, bro, we here to help Minister Farrakhan. We got to now, so you got to know you're not going to be in DC. You're going somewhere. So wherever you go, you own it and raise it for the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. It was Jamil who gave us all that encouraging, beautiful spirit because he came from the field. So he would tell us what to expect in the field because of him. So a lot of what I'm doing, I thank Allah for my brother Jamil, because you know how he is, man. He make anybody feel welcome and warm. Man. I mean, matter of fact, my first Savior's Day in '83. The first brother that I ever met that was not from DC was Jamil. And he talked about it. Because I was on the post selling books, myself and Brother Sultan, who's on the E team. And Brother Sultan, his name Gregory at the time, him and I selling books, and I'm telling Jamil, I'm on the book point. He said, brother, you got a sister's post. But I knew he was ribbing me. You know what I'm saying? Like Jamil is, he's ribbing me, but he made me feel like one of the brothers. It was Jamil. And I never forgot, though, but I never forgot the way he made me feel, because I didn't know anybody in Philly or any of these places. Only brothers I knew were the brothers out of DC. But my first Savior's Day, it was Jamil.
Praise be to Allah. Thankful for Almighty God, Allah, for our brother Jamil, and all that he does. So we're coming up on our 45-minute break, and we'll be back to have more of this dynamic interview with our brother Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. I'm working on that name, my brother.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world, with the exception of 9. That's power right there, if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base, and at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating His children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back to hear more of this powerful interview with our brother Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
Good, working on it. So, I watched your previous interview with our brother Joshua Muhammad, and you spoke about how research was and is always key to your lecture preparation. Mm-hmm. And you spoke about how you would assign certain research tasks to members of the student ministry class in your city. Now, years later, 2 of the student ministers from your city are members of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's research team, Brother Dimitri Muhammad and Ilya Rashad Muhammad, right? And our nation's research group. How proud are you to see them now using their skills to aid the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and our nation?
That's about Brother Willie. I'm very proud, very, 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 very proud. Not only that, we have Brother Abdul Shaheed Muhammad, who's now minister in Holly Springs, Mississippi. And we have our brother Rodney A. Muhammad, who's a student minister here. Martikas Muhammad, who helps Brother Saad you see the video clips and all of that on when we have the webcast and all of that. Brother Martikas Muhammad is here. We have Brother Harold Muhammad, who's actually the regional secretary of the Central Region. They were trying to get him to come into Chicago and actually be the secretary there, and others, and many others. All of our believers, they belong to the ministry. And so one of the things that we have to learn to do is to get out of the way and let people grow. I'm a big proponent of developing the ministries in our cities, because in those ministries, people can find a place to grow. I had to learn, and I won't go through the channels, but they belong to God. They're not mine. And so to see them grow, this is what Brother Lean would do for me. He would bring me in. He wasn't jealous because I was with the minister or whatever, and let them grow. So Iliad is now the premier expert, if you will, on UFOs and on the wheel. Brother Dimitri is affectionately known through the nation as the research minister. So they developed all this research, and what we did was the student ministers who were in the class. If I was going to develop a subject on something, all of us would put that, our input on the table, and I would say, well, brother, bring that back. Brother, go get that and get this, and it kind of helps us to develop. Well, they are learning to do research. That's the way that should start. Now, student ministers, they learn to do research because when they become ministers, they got to do research. And so that's how we started with that. And now we continue that because we're trying to open it up to more. There are more sisters who want to be in the student ministry. There are young people who want to be in the student ministry. And we want them to develop. I'm trying to develop now the ministry of health, to have more of our nurses. We have so many nurses in the mosque here that becomes the catalyst to me for the ministry of health. And people come, Brother Willie, they come and ask you medical questions. You're not a doctor. Well, we have these medical people that can help us with that. Ministry of Agriculture. Well, you have people that know how to grow food that can do that. And we encourage that. And one of the things that we have to do, create millionaires. I'm loving your commercials. There are businesses that are there in New Orleans and other places. We have to make a conscious decision to support them, to create a community millionaires. We have to let people find their niche and their place in the nation. Everybody's not going to be a minister. We need a man that know how to clean the mosque. There are brothers who know how to do custodial work. We need to make over that brother. And can you help me to make the mosque look the way it should look? A brother that know how to paint and know how to fix a hole in the wall, or fix the leak, or we need everything in the nation. And all of our brothers and sisters have value. We just have to be able to allow them to bring that. Now that means they're going to make some mistakes too. Not going to do everything just right. They're going to make some mistakes. And if we allow them to make those mistakes, fix those mistakes and grow, then you'll have what you're talking about. You'll have another Ilya Rashad, another Demetrius, you have another Willie Muhammad, you'll have another Abdul Muthakir, you have a Qadir Muhammad, you'll have a Abdul Halim Muhammad, because he's doing the same in Houston. He's developing people in Houston. And brother Abdul Malik on the West Coast, he's developing people. All of us are doing that because God is blessing them to come to us. And we just got to salute them on their way up, man. They got brilliant ideas and things. It's that time now where it used to be, Brother Willie, you know, minister, captain, brother captain, sister captain. When they added protocol, we were struggling like, well, what does that do? We didn't really know, you know, and Sister Claudette was just so cold. She just made it look easy, you know what I mean? But she knew what she was doing. And now these other ones are coming. And they have this, you got a Wesley Muhammad now, got a PhD on point number 12. What? I mean, a PhD? And these others that are coming, that have talent that they can offer to our nation, allow us to grow. And you see the believers gravitating to this one, that one. A student minister, Ava Muhammad, is the spokesperson, and you see the young sisters gravitating, and they like, man, yes, ma'am, you can do that. Of course you can do that. And so all of this helps to develop our nation. And that's the way we need to be. We need to be stewards of them, develop them, and as I say, salute them as they go on their way up.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now you mentioned about Brother Abdul Sharif Muhammad being a supreme captain. I want to go back to that to get some more, because the book that he wrote, the book, I can't think of the day it is right there, A Soldier in a Movement of Christ. And to me, this is, my opinion, it's an excellent book, and it's an excellent book for those who want to be in leadership. And you talked about how you would have to report to his office in the morning. What were some of the other things that you learned? Because, you know, he's a make it happen type of person in regards to being able to organize and see that tasks were followed through.
When I went there, one of the things that I had to learn, I'm a different kind of person. I'm not a soldier, a man's man, if you will. But Sharif is. He's a soldier's soldier. He's a man's man. And he loved the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he will be clear on whatever the instruction was. And he will rally the troops and get that done. He had the executive council, he had an exec team around him that helped move the Final Call newspaper and those things. So I learned a lot about organizing. I also learned some things about what I didn't know. Like, how do you move a man like Minister Farrakhan? How do you move him from city to city and those things? And I learned that I did not know a lot of those kind of things. Also, he knew how to help me when I would use the word when they would bite me in headquarters. Because headquarters is rough sometimes. And if you don't know how to navigate those waters, you know, you can kind of get hurt, you know. And he would know how to help me to get through those things, because certain things I just didn't understand. But he had been there before me. So all of those kind of things that you learn from a man like Brother Sharif, you know, he's no nonsense, but he has a beautiful spirit. And he has good eyes. I mean, he could see where I was my shortcomings were, my deficiencies were, and he would help me with that. You know, so I'm always, I would use the word, always indebted to him because of the way he knew how to handle me, knowing that I'm not like, you know, I'm a little introvert, Brother Willie. I'm not like a lot of people. So I have my own little quirks and stuff. but he knew how to handle me. And I've always been indebted to him because of that.
Wow, beautiful, man. Let me get this in. I don't know if we pulled the picture, but he'll pull it up if we have it. Talk about your musical interest there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know you play the bass, right? And I
Yes.
I was speaking to Brother Desmond from Atlanta, and he talked about, you know, there was some possibility of you all getting together and doing something. Talk about just your music and the comfort that it gives you.
Well, when I grew up, I wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to be an electrician, and I wanted to be a musician. In my mind, I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to make it. And I had a band. I was in a reggae band. And I was in the conscious community. So the music that we wanted to play was conscious music. And that's what I played when I was in Washington. We were very popular in Washington. Very, very popular band. Called ourselves Ex-Slaves in Motion. And we played a lot of Bob Marley music and others. We played conscious music. We wrote conscious music. But we weren't disciplined at all. So you know how the scripture says, Brother Willie, having a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Mm. And when I got with the Nation of Islam, I put music down and came into the nation. But when I got back to Memphis, I kind of picked it up, and there are brothers in the mosque. We got a little band in the mosque called Band 55. And it's called that because we didn't know what else to call ourselves. We don't know. But then I learned that Brother Desmond actually plays reggae music. And he sent me a couple of his work. It's a beautiful work. You know, and I do think that we're at a time where the Ministry of Arts and Culture will come and express Islam. Because sometimes the words of God are expressed in art and culture. And now we're at that place. So we had the Webathon. You saw Brother Michael thumping that thing, playing some maze and all of that. Him and I kind of won. And then you got our brother plays a guitar, Brother Bateen in Atlanta. And you have these great talents all over the country that do. I mean, I wish one day when we come to Chicago, we can have what musicians call a straight up jam session. But my music gives me a lot of solace and comfort. It's what I love to do. I wake all my children up when they were younger. Go after prayer and everything around 6 in the morning, I'm thumping on my bass. And I didn't care who heard it. I was wrong. I shouldn't be that way, but I did, brother. I'd be playing my music, and it gives me a great joy. And reggae music for me is like my gospel. It's what I play when I want to give praise to my Heavenly Father. I play Bob Marley and Steel Pulse, and Third World, and others. That's my kind of music.
Beautiful. Well, beautiful, my brother. We're coming to the end of this interview, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. May Allah continue to bless you and your family, and happy Savior's Day. And inshallah, we'll see you in Chicago.
Brother, thank you for having me, and to the believers and those on Assalamu alaikum. And inshallah, I'll see you, brother. We got to be in Chicago for this one. This is it. And I hope everyone tunes in to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on Swan Song. And Brother Willie, I got to get those commercials you got here, man. They are so beautiful, man. If you all don't mind, if NNV don't mind, I would love to have them to play here at the mosque in Memphis.
Definitely will. And I'll make sure that our producer will get you those, my brother. Thank you, man. And may Allah continue to bless you.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And we want to thank each and every one of you all who are tuning in. If you're watching for the first time, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment about your thoughts about the interview, and also make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithms to get more people to see it, and make sure you share this interview. This is your brother, Willie Muhammad, with I Have a Testimony. Peace.
Go home and study. See, many of you don't study your religion. Go ahead. And you think you're going to attain something without study. But if you believe in something, you need to study it so you can become proficient in what you do. Now watch this. God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.